यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यामुनतीरवनचारी यामुनतीरवनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जयों विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction, Text 59. Please repeat after me. Drishtva Samatvam Tat Shaurehe Satye Cha Eva Vyavasthitim Kangsah Tushtamanaha Rajan Prahasan Idam Abhravit Drishtva Samatvam Tachaure Satye Chaiva Vyavasthitim Kangsas Manarajan Prahasan Idam Abhravit Drishtva Samatvam Tachaure Satye Chaiva Vyavasthitim Kangsas Manarajan Prahasan Idam Abhravit Drishtva Samatvam Tachaure Satye Chaiva Vyavasthitim Kangsas Manarajan Prahasan Idam Abhravit Drishtva Samatvam Tachaure Drishtva Samatvam Tachaure Satye Chaiva Vyavasthitim हंसस्तुष्टमहाराजन् प्रहसन् इदमब्रवीत् दृष्ट्वा समत्वं तच्चौरे मे चैव व्यवस्थितिम् हंसस्तुष्टमहाराजन् इदमब्रवीत्। माताजी, दृष्ट्वा समत्वं तच्चौरे एषैव व्यवस्थितिम् हंसस्तुष्टमहाराजन् प्रहसन् इदमब्रवीत् दृष्ट्वा, by seeing, samatvam, being equipoised, undisturbed in distress or happiness. Tat, that, shaurehe, of Vasudeva, satye, in truthfulness, cha, indeed, eva, certainly, vyavasthitim, the firm situation, Kamsaha, Kamsa, Tushtamanaha, being very satisfied with Vasudeva's behavior in delivering the first child to keep his promise. Rajan, O Maharaja Parikshit, Prahasan, with a smiling face, Idam, this, Abhravit, said. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. My dear King Parikshit, when Kamsa saw that Vasudeva, being situated in truthfulness, was completely equipoised in giving him the child, he was very happy. Therefore, with a smiling face, he spoke as follows. Purport. The word samatvam is very significant in this verse. Samatvam refers to one who is always equipoised, unaffected by either happiness or distress. Vasudeva was so steadily equipoised that he did not seem in the least agitated. When delivering his firstborn child into the hands of Kamsa to be killed, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 56, it is said, Dukeshu anudvigna manaha sukeshu vigatasprihaha. In the material world, one should not be very eager to be happy, nor should one be very much disturbed by material distress. Lord Krishna advised Arjuna, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukadhukkadaha agamapaino nityas tang stitikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course, or like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from sense perception, O son of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. The self-realized soul is never disturbed by so-called distress or happiness, and this is especially true of an exalted devotee like Vasudeva, who showed this by his practical example. Vasudeva was not at all disturbed when delivering his first child to Kamsa to be killed. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Drishtva samatvam tatchaure, satye chaiva vyavastitim. Kansas tushtamana rajan, prahasan idam abhravit. My dear King Parikshit, when Kamsa saw that Vasudeva being situated in truthfulness, was completely equipoised in giving him the child, he was very happy. Therefore, with a smiling face, he spoke as follows. So, here we see Vasudeva's composure, and as it was explained in the previous verse yesterday, that what is painful for a saintly person in strictly adhering the path of truthfulness, or what is it that is really difficult for a person who is fully surrendered unto the lotus feet of Krishna. These are the descriptions that was given yesterday, and continuing with the same theme, here we can see Vasudeva, again a great quality is being stressed in this verse of being in the level of exhibiting equality or samatvam, which means Prabhupada translates it here as being equipoised. It's something which is a very great quality in an advanced devotee or any saintly person. He exhibits this exceptional quality of being equipoised. In the instruction that is given by the Nava Yogendras to King Nimi, if you see in the 11th canto, there are certain qualities which are being described by King Nimi. Actually, King Nimi is questioning the Nava Yogendras regarding how to handle the most difficult situation in this material world. The material world is full of dualities. That's one thing. Another thing is how to become free from the effect of Maya. Every one of us in this material world, we are always affected by duality. So now, King Nimi is very eager to know how to overcome Maya. So what are all the things a person should imbibe? So in response to that, a very nice verse which one of the Nava Yogendras, Prabuddha, is advising to King Nimi. Recently we also heard in the Shravan Kirtan camp, His Grace Mukundatta Prabhu was touching on this point of how some of the qualities can be seen in very advanced devotees. We are exactly seeing that quality here with Vasudeva. So that particular quality of samatvam is being stressed in today's verse. So here Prabuddha is making a point, Shaucham tapas titikshang maunam swadhyayam arjavam. And then he says, Brahmacharyam ahimsamcha samatvam dvanda samnayoho. He's making this point. Various other qualities are being described of an advanced devotee. So he speaks about Shaucham, being clean, performing austerities, tapasya. Titiksham, being tolerant. You can see Vasudeva, how he was dealing in the situation. He was very tolerant. Someone else will just immediately go back and punch, or he will take the sword. It is a very delicate situation. So one has to be very tolerant in dealing in the situation. If you do something, if you perform some whimsical act, it may cost a life. Devaki would have been ripped apart by Kamsa. He was very tolerant, very sober in dealing in the situation. How to handle the situation was very sober. But then Arjavam, being very honest, straightforward, that quality is being stressed. Then the practice of brahmacharya, control of the senses and the mind right from young age. Then also being non-violent, ahimsa is also one of the quality. Here, Prabuddha is stressing. Then very specifically in this verse, he points out that samatvam dvanda samnoya samnayoho is being mentioned. Now that's the exact point Srila Prabhupada is also elaborating on this purport. And we see here Prabhupada's explanation of this verse, or the followers of Srila Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, points out what the acharyas are commenting in this for this particular samatvam. So it is being mentioned here. Samatvam dvanga samnayoho indicates that one should keep a cool head even when disturbing material dualities becomes manifest. That's a difficult thing. Keeping cool head. First of all, to keep cool head in the material world, that is in itself is very difficult. And to keep a cool head when there is an adverse situation. The situation is favorable, okay, you may be very delighted. It is suggested that in that time also should not be too much elated and then lose track of what you're doing. Or the point that yesterday throughout the lecture Maitreya Prabhu was stressing about do one's dharma. That's the whole point. Gita is exactly stressing that point, that one should either in the situation when it is very favorable and everything is very nice and you are very joyful condition, never go away from the path of dharma. And when the situation is very bad, it's all very reversal. Very reversible situation has happened in your life. A very adverse situation has happened in your life. Nevertheless, continue the path of dharma. That's the message from Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. So that is being indicated here, and right in the same verse, that same as Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here, matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkadaha is being pointed out, that one has to learn to tolerate. This is something which is not a very popular statement among the people of the modern age. Tolerance, that word is not there in the dictionary, but that's part of the Vedic culture. Right from young age, children are trained to tolerate. Unless we learn to tolerate, our life will become very miserable. So that is what is being pointed out here. And further, our acharyas are pointing out that specifically, Kamsa was so convinced, seeing the quality of Vasudeva. He was very convinced that he is not going to take back his words. And also, because of the great quality of samatvam, it is mentioned that this is a specific quality of a learned person. The learned person, as we see in the previous verse, he was very determined. He was very determined not to give up his great saintly quality of truthfulness. Wash your hands. Of truthfulness, that is very much a great quality of the sadhu. So we can see how Vasudeva was very much sticking to the words that he had given. So that is, the acharyas are pointing out that. And then also there is a response by Kamsa. Kamsa was amazed to see how Vasudeva was sticking to his words. So when Vasudeva was speaking like this, we can see in the upcoming verses that Kamsa's mind will change. Kamsa will think that, no, better you anyway this child is not going to kill me. The words that I heard from the sky says that one of the 8 child is going to kill. So why should you take it back? So like that, his heart changes. So these are the very saintly quality of Vasudeva that we see here. And we can see from the scriptures throughout that this quality of equanimity. Krishna speaks so in explaining about who is a Citta Pragya. When the Lord in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he speaks about that either in success or failure, one should be equipoised. Krishna says, yogatvam samauchyate. Krishna says, samatvam yoga uchyate. He says, so in success or in failure, you be equipoised. Then, while he goes on to speak about it, Arjuna becomes inspired And Krishna speaks about be equipoised, control your senses and mind. Then Arjuna becomes inspired and he's asking, can you tell more about the qualities of such a person? What are all the traits of such a person? So then Arjuna asks this question. So how does Citta Prajna, how does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? King Prabhasheta Rajeta Kim. Kim Asita. King Prabhasheta Rajeta Kim. He's asking all these questions. So now, so we can see here in the lives of great personalities also how they were responding during different situations. Let's take example of, so many examples are there in the scriptures. We can take the example of Drona. When Dronacharya, when who was a Drishtadyumna, when he came, when Drishtadyumna came to meet Dronacharya, he wanted to come in the school. He wanted to join Dronacharya's school, and he was asking that, can you please teach me archery? And Dronacharya, he very well knew that Drishtadyumna is the person who is going to kill him. But he never swayed from dharma. As a teacher, his dharma was to teach. And as a Brahmana, he was steadfast in performing his dharma. He never gave up. He said that, oh, he's going to kill me. No, I will nevertheless teach him. I will definitely impart him this knowledge. You see, he's a very saintly character. Who can be like that? On the other hand, we can see Drupada, when Drona and Drupada were friends in Gurukula. But when he later became a very big king, Drupada, when Dronacharya came and then was asking Drupada for help, this is my situation. So Drona, in fact, mana apamana yoho. Krishna says, no, one should transcend the mana and apamana. But here we can see Drupada he did not wanted to think about the previous friendship that he had with Drona. He said that friendship should be with equals. He was speaking a different philosophy. Friendship should be with equals. So he was not ready to consider the previous thing. So we can see when the situation is very favorable, a person's attitude changes. When one is elated, he doesn't want to think about the past. When, on the other hand, Drona was very steadfast. So, but we can see the nature of the soul actually from where all these qualities are coming. All these qualities are actually there in the Supreme Lord. The Lord is the source of all the sattvic qualities. All the great qualities are present in the Lord. So the Lord is possessing the quality of samatvam. So the jiva by nature is also samatvam. But being conditioned by the three modes, he doesn't exhibit this quality of samatvam. So this is one point. And see, so unless we develop these qualities, our life will be in a very troubled state. We'll have difficulties. So we can, sometimes we can think about, when you start to learn driving cycle, you have to be very much balanced. If you don't balance, you may fall apart. You may fall, even cycle or even two-wheeler or whatever. Otherwise, what happens? You see, you need to think about it. When you do not know how to drive properly, it's not only a trouble for you, you also create trouble for others, isn't it? You could give trouble to others who are driving by your side. So these qualities not only help us to see things in proper perspective, but also helps others to, to see life in proper perspective and helps to mold their life also. So that's a very interesting aspect of it. And also we can see these qualities. So these are very related qualities, as Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here. Dukeshu anudvigna manaha, sukeshu vigata. So how does one restrain the senses during adverse situations? How does one respond in adverse situations? So this is an art that we learn from Krishna himself. He is teaching how we have to respond. Not that we just do whatever we want to do, that we speak whatever we want to speak. There is a training right from young age, how to control the speech, how to control our actions. It's such a science. Nowadays, just everything is free thinking, free thoughts that is being going in the modern age. The absolute nonsense. We actually our whole life becomes really troublesome when we just have this idea in our mind. Like yesterday, we were having this discussion that so this toleration, the tolerance one exhibits tolerance. The whole idea of is to give up sense gratification. Hmm. So in the modern people, they do not know when they've lost something, they do not have any other choice. So it appears like they are tolerating, but given an opportunity, they will just enjoy. Like yesterday, during Prasadam, because we had discussion with Krishna's Prabhu, that this whole idea of the toleration of the karmis, they have absolutely no idea. But a devotee is trained. Why he is tolerating? Because whatever is favorable for Krishna's service, and whatever is unfavorable for Krishna's service, he rejects it. Whatever is favorable for Krishna's service, he accepts it. He has this philosophical understanding. Clear Siddhanta is there, so he tolerates. On the other hand, he doesn't tolerate whichever is an hindrance to devotees or the Lord's service. He's not like the so-called Mayavadis is simply you be in equanimity and then you don't no feelings, no expressions. Not like that. A devotee may even exhibit anger. A devotee may engage in very fearful activities also in the interest of Krishna and the devotees. This is the whole point. So that needs to be understood as well. And also we can see that when you are, if you don't get trained in controlling the senses and mind, as we spoke the point that we may create trouble to others. Like in the modern world, this is the whole principle. The Chanakya teaches. Just take only this one line. Matravat paradhareshu. Seeing others' wives as one's mother. What a very powerful statement. In the modern days, this culture is completely being lost. A person is being trained right from young age to tolerate the urges of the senses, isn't it? If you don't tolerate, just leave your senses and mind as it goes, then it's going to create so much calamity, so much trouble and problems for others. So every small thing is counted in the Vedic life. Also we see here, we can think about, the Acharyas are also pointing out that how Vasudeva was able to perform such an act. First child was born, giving the first child to Kamsa. How he was able to do that? The Acharyas are pointing out that Vasudeva was completely detached. They say that. He was so detached, otherwise it's not possible to perform such an act. And also, there is also another perspective that the Acharyas are pointing out, that they were so eager that Krishna is going to be born, he's going to be the 8th child. So they want immediately, as the child was born, immediately they were ready to give children to Kamsa. So there is another aspect of it. But again, coming back to this point, seeing so many other examples from the scriptures, Parashuram, we can think about this. When father said, you have to you kill your mother, he did that on the order of his father. That was another aspect I was thinking about. Then also, we can see another example of how Lord Ram responded. We may say the Supreme Lord himself. But then, yad acharati sreshtas tattad evetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. In the Ramayana, if you read the section of how Lord Ram responded, how he was equipoised in the situation that he was instructed that he is going to be coronated. But he was given the instruction that now we have to just leave Ayodhya, you have to go to the forest for 14 years, Vanavas. Lord Ram was so peaceful. There was not even you can't even see a sign on his face that he was disturbed. In fact, when he went to the quarters where Dasharatha and Kaikeyi was there, he was just having only one request. Mother Kaikeyi, you could have just told me this. I would have very happily executed. You just put this request to Dasharatha. Could have just told me, I would have been very happy. He was he offered obeisances, prostrate obeisances to Dasharatha and Kaikeyi. Very much he took it. And he went to meet Kaushalya and others. Actually, Lakshmana was furious. He was very much agitated. But seeing this is what the Ramayana explains, seeing the equipoised phase of Lord Ram, he completely restrained himself. When he went to Kaushalya, and also Lord Ram also was so much, when he was seeing he was very cautious that he did not want to agitate the people of Ayodhya, other dear ministers, others. They were all, it was a shock for them. Everybody was completely shattered They could not tolerate, they could not digest the fact that Lord Ram is going to leave Ayodhya. They could not digest it. But Lord Ram was very, very careful in handling the situation. He was very, same word, samatvam. He was very equipoised in dealing in the situation. So Lord Ram showed by example. Then we can also see in Mahabharata, there was once a situation where during the exile, once Yudhishthira and the Pandavas, everyone was sitting, they were in one forest in one ashram. Draupadi was in a very painful state. She saw Yudhishthira sitting on the ground. And Draupadi said that, my dear king, you were supposed to be in the big Simhasana. That's where it's very painful to see you sitting here. And she said that, actually, she saw Bhima, she see Bhima was so powerful. He could just rip apart the entire Kauravas. Arjuna, he could just play around with all the celestial weapons. And like that, she was glorifying everyone's prowess and the great qualities. She said that now also it's not too late. We can finish them off, and then I can't see you sitting here like this. And then Yudhishthira was so peaceful. He said that no, you have to follow the dharma. I have given the word. It was me who actually said that, and whomsoever loses the this dice game, they will we have to be in exile. I have given a word. I have to keep up that. And then Bhima at the time was quoting from some scriptures that the 12 years, the 12 years or 13 years of exile period that was there. Actually, there is a description in the scriptures that it could be reduced to 12 months. Yudhishthira was not ready to budge for that. He said that no, given a word, we have to keep up. No question of any fight now. So we have to be cool-headed now. We have to just follow. We have to go through this. This is arrangement of the providence. We have to go through this. And then at the time also, Yudhishthira said that, but after we will again. You see how Yudhishthira how he was so equipoised. He was explaining that after all this exile, we will again. Actually, they are supposed to give the kingdom to us. That was the deal. And then he said that at that time, if they say no, then we will wage a war. Not otherwise. And so we can see, and then that's when also in the Manu Samhita it is said, "Dharmo rakshati rakshita." You follow dharma, you protect dharma. Dharma will protect you. So this is the understanding. So it's such an important principle, right? From young age, we need to inculcate this principle in children also. They get this principle, then they will come out in flying colors. And there will always be testing situations in our life. There will be a situation where we'll be elated with happiness. There will be a situation where we'll undergo different sufferings. We can't imagine. The material world is like this. All situations, everything will be very nice. Who knows the next day morning whether we'll be alive or not? Just 2 days back, Gopalacharya sent me a message that he was preaching to one devotee in Poland. He was recently, this Mahabharata book was published. Is Mahabharata real, or what is the book? Real, or is it a myth? So one devotee was very much interested. He was very much interested in that book. He was asking so many questions about that book, and he had so much conversation. And he wanted that book to be sent to, I believe it is Poland or something. And then so Gopalacharya was trying to make some arrangements, send the book. But next day morning, he just got a message that devotee early morning, he had some heart attack or something. He just saw the picture of it eating. He just left the body. That's the nature of this material world. We never know what will happen to us. We many times hear this, but to really get this and know that anytime anything can happen to us, so it is very, very important for us to not waste time and follow the principles of dharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Whatever the Lord says, that is dharma. And Krishna says, surrender unto me. Engage in my service, chant my names, worship me. This is what Krishna says. This is the dharma, we need to take it up. And all of the Lord's and his devotees' instructions we should try to follow. So that's a very important aspect of it. And also in that whole conversation, Yudhishthira, so he was making a point that we should follow the principles of dharma not for any expectation. Just we need to be virtuous for the sake of being virtuous. That is the high standard that one should follow. So another point that we discussed yesterday, is again touching on that point because it is so important. In any adverse situation, also we should never give up our duty. So yesterday that point was discussed that we may Yeah, situation will be very difficult situation, very difficult for us to digest. We may cry, we may have a difficult, but doesn't matter. But we should not give up the principles of dharma. What is it that whatever that we need to do, we should keep going with that. Because why? Um, that dharmic principles we follow, that is the only hope by which we can come out of the sinful reactions, and that will help us to make progress in the path of spiritual life. So that's what Krishna says, that never give up charity, never give up the practice of tapa, yajna. Never give up that, because this is always purifying. Krishna says, he repeats it. He speaks about again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, specifically in the 18th chapter. He says that never give up, nat tyajyam. He says, don't give up. These principles of tapasya, these principles of dhana, yajna dhana tapaschaiva, nat tyajyam. He says that no, don't give up this. So that's an important principle. And also, we can see Srila Prabhupada in this purport is making a point that Dukeshu anudvigna manaha sukeshu vigata spriha. If you read the purport in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada points out that the devotee's attitude, he is very clear. It's not that he is taking it in a sentimental way. No, he's fully convinced that whatever that is happening to me in this life, as we heard, tattenu kampam susamikshamana bunjana evatm kritam vipakam ridvag vapurbhir vidadan namaste jivesayo mukti pade sadayaba. This is the outlook that he has, that actually whatever mess that is happening to me in my life, it's my own reactions of my own karma. Actually, I have to undergo more sufferings, but because of, by the mercy of the Lord, I am undergoing only this much suffering. So this is his clear understanding. With this understanding, what he does, he goes on with the service of the Lord. He takes troubles as opportunities to surrender to Krishna. This is how he perceives it. And so Brahma, he says that for such a person, going back home, back to Godhead is his birthright. And we can also see some more examples. We can see how Ranti Deva, how he responded. He was being tested. The demigods came and then tested him, but he never swayed from dharma. We can also see the example of right there in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam, Ambarish Maharaj. He was also very sober when Durvasa was really testing him. He acted according to the scriptures. He drank water, which is like breaking the fast, at the same time not breaking the fast. And also we can see, this is one thing that we need to learn in any trying situations. We should always think how the previous devotees acted, or what the scriptures say. That's the training that we are getting. What is the training that we are getting? Coming in touch with Krishna consciousness movement, or coming in touch with the pure devotees, we are trained to see things from, not with the Mamsha Chakshu. Mamsha Chakshu means not with his physical eyes, but with the Jnana Chakshu. But the eyes or Shastra Chakshu. When we see with the eyes of the scriptures, then we can act in a dharmic way. That's the most important thing. That's the whole training in Krishna consciousness movement that we are. What I feel is, what you feel is. We don't bother about what you feel, what I feel. What the Lord feels. What is the Lord's opinion? What the acharyas are saying. That is the most important point. That is the training that we are getting. And the acharyas are also giving the example of Jada Bharat, how he responded. We cannot even imagine the response that he had. He was almost there is going to be a Narabali, isn't it, in front of Durga. He was so cool. He understood that, yes, if this is the will of destiny, then let it happen. But then Durga couldn't tolerate. She immediately responded by killing all those dacoits who just came to squander the life of Bharat, Jada Bharat. So in the commentary to that verse, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha, Bhaladev Vidibhushna is giving the example of Jada Bharat, how he responded. So this is an important trait that we see, and also in our conditioned state, we cannot also artificially do something. But at the same time, we should also, the whole principle that we need to understand is that we should stick to the path of devotional service. Something small happens, give up devotional service. That should not be our attitude. Our attitude is whatever may be the situation, even we are weak, let us go and associate with devotees who are strong-minded, who are well grounded in the practice of devotion. Take their association, take their help. Not that take independent decisions. This is very dangerous. Or act according to the whims and fancies of our mind. What I feel is, what I think is, how I should act. Then where is the question of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? How we are going to respond? So this is an important, it's not something only in theory that we read in the Gita and Bhagavatam. We should try to put that in our life. So you may say that, Prabhuji, not all the time there may be Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. No, it's available all the time. You can get the association of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. That's one point. And another thing is that if there is a situation where we need to take immediate decision, maybe there is no one is there. That's when it's so important that every day, how do you practice Krishna consciousness? It's not a Krishna conscious practice is not some show. It's something which very internally one need to develop also. Internally one needs to develop means one should submit himself to the process of sadhana bhakti very seriously. Waking up early in the morning, chanting the rounds, trying to avoid the 10 offenses, try to help others in the path of Krishna consciousness. All these things, once you do it every day, gradually one is purified. The Lord also, who is situated in the heart as Paramatma, will also give inspiration. As a Chaitya Guru, the Lord, as a spiritual master, is giving guidance, and from within also he gives guidance. So the more one is purified, the more one will get proper guidance. And also, it is also very important that we should not be impulsive. You understand this word impulsive? Impulsive means responding like this immediately. No, we can many times you should see what is prayers, what is shreyas. You should think and act. If there is a situation where we don't have to respond immediately, think what should be done, what should not be done. Consult others and then act properly. When there is a thing that we need to take a decision very quickly, be very sober, think how the acharyas have done, how Srila Prabhupada has dealt in the situation. Like this, we can see all great advanced devotees, many times they ask a question, what was Srila Prabhupada's response in this particular situation? Remember when recently Guru Maharaj was here, he was saying the point that how Srila, they used to write letters. Who said that? I think it was Mukundananda Prabhu or someone said that often we see that there are so many letters that comes to Harishauri Prabhu or Shrutakirti Prabhu asking questions. How Srila Prabhupada responded in this situation? How Srila Prabhupada responded in this particular situation? So trying to learn from their previous acharyas. So that is why there is a guru, there are devotees, they show practically in their life how to respond. And we learn from them. So that is why it's so important, for us also to read about Srila Prabhupada's his activities. How he is the walking Bhagavatam. You read Srimad Bhagavatam, you read the examples of great personalities from Mahabharata and other great personalities. That's great. And practically in the current time, Srila Prabhupada himself had set example how to respond, how to act. How Srila Prabhupada reacted in various situations. He showed how to respond. By that, why he did that? So we learn from that. There was once, I think, Shrutakirti Prabhu was Srila Prabhupada's personal servant, and he used to, a mosquito net was set for Srila Prabhupada, and he used to also sleep just below Srila Prabhupada. One time, it was midnight, or maybe 1 o'clock or something. Shrutakirti Prabhu heard a sound of Prabhupada's stick. It just fell down, and then he saw Prabhupada also lying down next to him. Prabhupada fell down from the bed. Srila Prabhupada was trying to walk on his own, and then actually he fell down. Then Shrutakirti Prabhu was very humbly, he was asking Prabhupada, why did you do that? You could have just called me. So Srila Prabhupada said that, no, I thought you are taking rest, why I should disturb you? So he said, I could just, Prabhupada wanted to pass water. So he thought he could manage himself. But Srila Prabhupada responded he thought that, let me not unnecessarily disturb others. And so Shrutakirti Prabhu is relating that Prabhupada was very cool and composed. and he was thinking of not to unnecessarily disturb others. This is also a very saintly quality. This is one situation where Shrutagiri Prabhu is responding. There is another situation where Srila Prabhupada was very what to say. He completely responded on the other side. So it was in Australia. Prabhupada after lunch or something, Srila Prabhupada took a very nap means nap. Nap means it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe 15 minutes. On the other hand, the devotees who were serving Prabhupada, so he saw that it was maybe around 5 p.m. or something. He was hearing snoring sound. They were all resting, and Srila Prabhupada became very furious. He went and then called his servant. He pushed the devotees. He just woke them up, and then he was chastising them like anything. He was saying that even karmis are far better. He said they are doing so much hard work, and what is it that you are sleeping for hours together? Is this the reason why you joined the movement, sleeping for hours together? We need to do hard work for Krishna. So we can see how a pure devotee responds in different situations. There was another incident when Srila Prabhupada was traveling in the flight. I think Upendra Prabhu was there with him. There was, there was an air turbulence. For those who have traveled in the flight, it is not such an easy thing. When there is a storm outside, the flight which is going on a particular height, it just comes down. Tuck, tuck, tuck. It just comes step by step. It comes down, and there is a great panic inside the flight. Everybody was shaking. What is that? Where you keep the luggages? What do you call that? Cabin. The cabin door. It got opened. Things started falling apart, and there was so much sound from inside. There was a big commotion. And Upendra Prabhu, what he thought? He said, anyway, he's sharing. He says that it will be a great moment. I will die in front of Prabhupada. He's thinking like that. Prabhupada was so cool and sober. He was just asking, what is this? What is going on? When he's explaining that Prabhupada, there is a storm outside. There is a turbulence. So he said that Prabhupada was responding like sometimes if his lunch was not served on time, sometimes Srila Prabhupada used to become, little indifferent during such situations, just to correct the disciple that it should be served on time. So like that, Prabhupada was not showing he was not showing some commotion. He was very peaceful. So Upendra Prabhu, he says that this was, only he could do it. He could do it. Prabhupada was so cool and composed. There was another time, Srila Prabhupada, I think it was in they were flying from Australia. Prabhupada was, Pushta Krishna was his secretary at the time, I think. Srila Prabhupada was, I think he was in the economy class or first class. Prabhupada was sitting. It was in the business class. Prabhupada was sitting there, and then there were some businessmen, or a few of them, they were smoking. And Pushta Krishna was a little disturbed, and then he said that, let me go, and then ask them to stop. But it was something, Prabhupada said that just leave it. Don't disturb them. They are like this. They are smoking. We can tolerate for some time. Prabhupada was tolerant there. These are some of the exceptional qualities of Srila Prabhupada, very exhibited. So when it comes to personal things, sometimes Srila Prabhupada tolerated. Sometimes to teach his disciples, Srila Prabhupada will exhibit anger. And in the interest of Krishna, he could not tolerate. Krishna or for his devotees, he could not tolerate. So these are some of the amazing qualities that we see with Srila Prabhupada, how he responded. And also another incident that I just remember, that Harishauri Prabhu, he speaks about, of all the pain, it is said that tooth pain is unbearable. You can see even now, I think Harishauri Prabhu has got the Prabhupada's Maha of this. He is preserved his tooth. He said that it's unbelievable that how Prabhupada had heavy, severe tooth pain, but in spite of that, he will continue with his work. He will continue with his translation, all those things. He said that it's not humanly, it's not possible. That shows a very advanced devotee. Only he could do that. And also we can see that following the footsteps, devotees, when there are some difficult situations, sometimes they ask the devotees to read from Gita, or they read from some shlokas or some verses. Not that you just ponder and then you make some big drama or big show about it. It's not artificial. These things you can gradually get trained. Also, whenever there is some adverse situation, we try to read from scriptures, or hear from Bhagavatam. We may not be in that level, but we can gradually get into that training. When there is some, say, let's say some death happens, or some near and dear ones are in trouble, we can read from Bhagavatam, we can read from other scriptures, we can hear from Prabhupada. Like that, we should turn the whole situation Krishna conscious. Otherwise, what else you have? That situation has become very difficult. You don't have anything else. You have to bear it. You have to hold it. You have to get along with life. So the right way to respond is to look from spiritual perspective. That's the whole training that we are getting. And one last point I just want to say before winding up, that when we speak about this samatvam, sometimes the Mayavadis, their idea of equality, oneness is completely different. So they think that everything is one, everything is equal, no emotions, nothing. But no, devotees are full of emotions. They have emotions, not that you just completely nullify everything and then you become zero. This is not the quality of a devotee. This is the wrong perspective. In fact, this quality of samatvam, Srila Prabhupada takes it further to show that this samatvam, this equanimity, also is possessed by the Lord. So the Lord is a person, he says. He is a person, he could deal in different situations in a very sober way. It just reminds me of another incident when, if you see in the Krishna book, the story of Bhrigu Muni deciding that Krishna or Vishnu is a supreme person. How he came to the decision, like seeing the response of Brahma and Shiva, and the response of Vishnu. When Vishnu was kicked on the chest by Bhrigu, the response of Vishnu was completely different. How Vishnu was responding, he was in a very in equanimity stage. He went and then respected and he worshipped Bhrigu. So anyway, so the point that I'm trying to say is that even the quality of equanimity and all these great qualities are actually emanating from the Supreme Lord. So the Acharyas are pointing out that the Lord is a person. They take it further and they say that the Lord is a person, but the rascal Mayavadis, they try to deride the personality of the Lord. So this is again another way of looking at perspective of equanimity. So in this way, we can see here Vasudeva was, as Srila Prabhupada concludes the purport, he says that the self-realized soul is never disturbed by devotee like Vasudeva, who showed this by his practical example. Vasudeva was not at all disturbed when delivering his first child to Kamsa be killed. And later we will see in this chapter, as it unfolds, that Kamsa will change his mind, seeing the great quality of Vasudeva, and he wanted to give back the child. And later we see Narada Muni's intervention and how he is changing the mind of Kamsa to further increase the situation, so that increase the speed, so that Krishna will soon appear. So we'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments or realizations, we'll share. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yes. Anything related to the class? Related to the class? Yes. Hmm. Okay, let me explain you why I quoted that. The question is whether to address them as Matajis or in local language as Amma. So before I answer the question, I just also try to explain you why I just quoted that Matravat Paradareshu. I just related this point that there are situations in the material world where one can, sometimes one is very much elated, or sometimes one is in great distress. Specifically in modern terms, because of lack of culture, lack of training in the modern days, there is no discrimination. Those opposite sex who are younger to you or who are elder to you, it's a question of trying to enjoy the senses, sense gratification. This is the idea, and one becomes trying to act too smart in front of them or too elated. That's why I just little bit extrapolated this. That's why I spoke about this. That this should not be the case. One should be trained to see others' wives as mothers. This is the training. So coming to the question, what you asked, yes, yes, that is the whole point. Mataji is spoken the language. Yes, you can call them as Amma because that's all. It means the same. When you speak in Tamil, obviously you will call them as Amma. Yes, there is nothing wrong there. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.